Let's jump right into this explainer because today we are uncovering something absolutely crucial: the invisible forces that silently dictate your entire life. We're going to break down 10 pillars of personal mastery that you were never taught, but that fundamentally decide the trajectory of your future. Think about it. Here's a harsh but honestly liberating truth to start us off. Nobody hands you a manual the day you're born, right? There's literally no step-by-step guide to figuring out the complexities of your own brain or navigating the world.
Which brings us to a really tough question. Who is actually in control here? Now, your immediate gut reaction is probably to proudly say, I am, obviously. You think you're making all your own daily choices. But the truth we see in the source material is actually quite different. Your environment, your habits, and the hidden wiring inside your own head are totally pulling the strings, usually without you even noticing. You're basically cruising on autopilot, influenced by forces completely designed to keep you comfortable, distracted, and entirely predictable.
So, to take that control back, we're dividing this roadmap into 4 clear phases. We'll start with escaping the invisible traps, move right into redesigning your environment, break down the mechanics of success, and finally wrap up with the ultimate master skill. Okay, let's jump straight into phase 1, escaping those invisible traps and finally waking up from autopilot.
Look, we've all been sold this massive illusion that our biggest enemy is a lack of time, right? We're constantly complaining that there just aren't enough hours in the day. But actually, scratch that. Your biggest enemy isn't the clock at all. It's a world that literally profits every single time your attention is stolen. Think about your phone or your favorite apps. They aren't asking for hours of your life up front. No, they just ask for 5 seconds. Just one quick notification, just one short video, just one mindless scroll. And suddenly the whole day is just gone. The people who control their attention control their future, because where your focus goes, your life inevitably follows.
And that flows right into an even stealthier trap: comfort. Now, from an evolutionary standpoint, comfort feels incredibly safe. It means you're surviving. But man, that is exactly the problem. Everything that actually improves your life, whether that's learning a complex new skill, working out, or building deep relationships, all of it starts by forcing you to be uncomfortable. If you constantly avoid discomfort, all that coziness slowly turns into a prison with soft walls. Sure, it feels nice, but it completely traps you in a state of permanent stagnation. Which brings us to how people and systems quietly manipulate you. And I'm not talking about cartoon villains here. The absolute best manipulation doesn't feel like control at all. It feels like your own brilliant, independent decision. Advertising, social algorithms, and even certain people learn your specific desires, your fears, and your weaknesses. And then they use that exact data against you. But hey, your strongest defense here isn't raw intelligence. It is simply awareness. The literal exact moment you recognize the game that's being played, you stop being an easy mark.
Now here is the absolute truth about procrastination, and this is a real game changer. You are not lazy. I know we beat ourselves up over it all the time, but your brain is just hardwired to avoid uncertainty and discomfort. That task you've been putting off, it probably isn't actually that hard. It's just unclear, which makes it feel huge and overwhelming. To beat this, you have to clarify it and make the very first step so incredibly ridiculously small that your brain has absolutely zero excuse to resist it. You just shrink the task down to bypass the fear.
All right, having exposed those traps, let's roll right into section 2, redesigning your environment and setting the stage for real control. We have been sold a total lie about willpower. We treat it like a superpower, but honestly, it depletes. It gets tired and exhausted. Your environment, on the other hand, is undefeated. If you try to just rely on willpower but leave junk food sitting right there on your desk, eventually you are going to eat it. If you put distractions all over your workspace, you will absolutely use them. The real secret is to just change what surrounds you. When you actively curate your environment, your behavior shifts naturally with practically zero effort on your part.
And a huge part of managing that environment is being completely ruthless about what you allow into it. Look at it this way. Every single time you say a meaningless yes out of obligation or just to be polite, you are actively saying no to something genuinely important. Your time, your energy, and your life are strictly limited resources. A pointless yes just drains that limited energy and spreads your life way too thin. But a firm, important no, that builds an impenetrable fortress around your focus.
So remember this, because it's a masterclass in prioritization. The highly successful people you see out there are not the ones running around trying to do absolutely everything. Not at all. They are fiercely selective. They carefully and deliberately choose what not to do, hoarding their finite energy for the vital few things that actually move the needle.
Let's transition over to Section 3 now, the mechanics of success, and how we actually build proof through our daily actions.
The reality is, most successful people are not superhuman. They don't have magical abilities or secret talents. They just obsess intensely over one tiny number, 1%. They are fiercely, relentlessly consistent. The person who focuses on improving by just 1% every single day is the one who ends up winning the entire marathon.
Because consistency is the invisible engine driving all progress. When you improve by 1% daily, you become completely unrecognizable after a few years. It's those tiny, mundane, repetitive actions, done thousands of times when nobody is even watching, that pile up and do a massive transformation. And the funny thing is, to everyone else on the outside, that whole transformation is just going to look like sudden luck.
Now, this next point completely destroys a myth we all fall for. Most people falsely believe they need to feel ready before they act. We're waiting to magically wake up feeling confident enough to start that business, or speak on a huge stage, or drastically change our lives. But guys, confidence is a receipt, not a purchase.
You don't get to buy confidence up front, you have to earn it. And you only earn it after proving to yourself that you can actually survive the uncomfortable situation first. If you're waiting around for confidence, you will literally be waiting forever. The only way out of fear is straight through it. You take the action, you survive the discomfort, and the receipt you proudly hold at the end of that whole transaction, that is your confidence. Which brings us to our fourth and final section, the ultimate master skill for thriving in a totally unpredictable future. If you want to master your future, you absolutely must master the power of being alone. Modern society is terrified of silence, right? We're constantly plugging our ears with music, podcasts, and just endless noise. Why? Because silence forces us to actually meet ourselves, and honestly, that can be deeply intimidating. But shutting out the noise is entirely mandatory. Every great idea, every major personal realization requires moments where the noise completely disappears. You have to learn how to be alone without feeling lonely.
And all that reflection leads to the most incredibly empowering skill you can possibly have, the ability to learn. The world is changing faster than ever before in human history. The specific, technical, hard skills you rely on today, they might not matter at all in 10 years. So the person who has the capacity to continuously adapt, learn new things, and enthusiastically rebuild themselves from the ground up, that is the only person who will never truly become obsolete. Learning how to learn is your ultimate defense mechanism.
As we wrap up this explainer, we've got to face some harsh realities head-on. Nobody is coming to save you with a personalized instruction manual for your life. There is no ultimate guru waiting in the wings to delicately explain every single rule before you start playing the game. And just like we talked about with confidence, no perfect moment will ever magically arrive where you suddenly feel 100% ready to begin. The people who actually transform their lives aren't the ones who possess all the knowledge at the starting line. They are simply the people who make a choice to jump in anyway. So, the final takeaway I want to leave you with. The question you really need to ask yourself right now is this. Will you decide to learn, adapt, and take control on your own terms today, or are you going to wait until life painfully forces your hand? Make the choice before the world makes it for you.